All right, hello everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome and thanks for joining us for this celebration of women engineers featuring Julie Bellerose. To help situate you, we are streaming on YouTube Live from Concordia University's fourth space, which is located on unceded Indigenous lands here in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And as caretakers for the lands and waters we are meeting on, we'd like to extend our gratitude to the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation for their teachings about the earth and our relations. At Fourth Space, we work with our university community to mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities that invite Concordians together with external partners and audience members, such as yourselves here today, to examine research questions, initiatives, and projects, conversations, and development here at Concordia University. So a big welcome and welcome back to our colleagues from the Institute for Cooperative Education and Experiential Learning, who together with the Women in Engineering program developed this event. Just a very quick note about engagement. If you're joining us online and would like to activate French language translation or interpretation, that feature is available to you. And I'll put some notes in the chat about how to activate it if you're unsure. Also, if you'd like to jump in with a question during question period, feel free to raise a virtual hand, turn your camera on, and you'll be able to speak. We'll see you here in this space, or pop comments into the chat. If you're in fourth space and would like to jump in during the question period, please also raise a hand so that we can get a microphone to you so that folks online can hear you. All right, to get us started, it's my pleasure to pass the floor to Concordia University's Vice Provost in Partnerships and Experiential Learning, Nadia Bouyan. Over to you, Nadia.
Thank you, Anna. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue et merci d'être avec nous pour célébrer les étudiantes, les mentors et les entreprises qui ont participé dans le programme Women in Engineering Career Launch Experience. As Anna mentioned, I'm Nadia Bouyan. I'm the Vice Provost of Partnerships and Experiential Learning. I'm also a professor in the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science in the Department of Mechanical, Industrial, and Aerospace Engineering. So this program in particular has significance for me because a few years ago, on the heels of the success of the CEO shadowing program that Co-op had launched for the business students, I had spoken to the former, the former Co-op director, Claude Martel, and thought it would be amazing to have a program similar to that for female students in engineering, with the goal of not only getting the opportunity to be mentored and gaining experience by strong leaders in the field of their study, but a program that would also give them the opportunity to develop their professional networks, to gain some key skills needed for the workplace. But most of all, what was most important for me was for these female students to be able to boost their confidence, because you all have chosen a career where you're clearly outnumbered by males, and so that confidence is key once you get out into the workplace. And so the Institute of Cooperative Education had designed this program with the engagement and the enthusiasm of some great industrial partners, and today the success of the program speaks for itself. So today is also a very important day, not only for women and engineers, but also for every one of us here. Today we observe the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. It's a call to action to end discrimination against women in memory of the 14 young, bright female students who were studying engineering at École Polytechnique. And 33 years ago to this day, their lives were taken senselessly in an act of violent misogyny. So that we never forget, these are the women: Geneviève Bergeron, Hélène Colgan, Nathalie Croteau, Barbara Daigneault, Anne-Marie Edward, Maude Havirnick, Barbara Klujnik-Vidiavich, Maryse Lagagnère, Maryse Leclerc, Anne-Marie Lemay, Sonia Pelletier, Michel Richard, Annie Saint-Arnaud, and Annie Turcotte. Gender-based violence is a harsh reality for far too many people on a daily basis. Today, we also commemorate the missing and murdered Indigenous women, the trans women, and all women whose lives have been lost or affected by violence based solely on their gender. And so I ask you all to please join me for a moment of silence to honor these women. Thank you. The National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women is a part of the 16 days of activism. And it's not only an opportunity, but it's a duty for all of us to call out and to commit to eliminating gender-based violence. To do this, we need both male, female, and role models from all genders to help pave the way. Role models like the fantastic guest that we have joining us today, Julie Bellerose. And I'd like to therefore extend a sincere thanks to all the men and women and all the allies that are working so hard to advance this important issue at Concordia and beyond our walls. A special thanks goes to Gina Cody, who is an amazing pioneer and a great role model for all women in engineering. We're a university that's known for being forward-thinking and active at leveling the playing field for gender, economic, racial, and many other inequalities. And in fact, just diagonal to the Ford space is the Shift Center for Social Transformation, where the reason for being is to achieve these goals. Concordia remains committed to creating an environment where everyone can study and work, unburdened by the fear of being harmed solely because of their gender. So let's move forward, but let's never forget. I'd now like to introduce Lucia Pleja, who is the program coordinator and the lead for the Women in Engineering program. And she's going to talk to you about the fantastic event that the Institute has put together. And I'd like to say congratulations to all the female students here who have completed the program, and enjoy the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We're excited to have you here today. So as Nadia said, my name is Lucia Pleja and I'm a program coordinator here. I'm looking at the equity, diversity, and inclusion approach for the Institute, and then also leading the Women in Engineering program or initiative. So we'll be hearing from our mentors, our mentees, and our host organizations shortly, and we'll also hear from Julie Bellerose. Very excited for this. But first, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of why we created the Women in Engineering Career Launch Experience. So you're going to hear the acronym. It's called WIE-CLE, so I'm going to be referring to it as that. Why did we create this program? Why is there even a need to have to create this program, right? Why does it exist? So I'd just like to share with you some statistics. I'm going to throw at you some stats just to get us all on this deeper understanding of the purpose and the value of having these kinds of initiatives. So did you know that talent shortages are now a top risk factor for organizations worldwide? And Canada may have a deficit of 100,000 engineers by 2025. 2 years from now. In 2019 in Canada, around 24% of engineering students only were women, 24%, but they often cluster around biosystems and environmental engineering. In mechanical, software, and computer engineering, it's 14% are students. 13% only of engineers in Canada are women, 13%. Almost 50% of women engineers who leave the profession, this is due to survey data, do so because of working conditions, either lack of advancement opportunities or low salary, and 30% leave due to organizational culture. So these are some real facts, and the reality is looking right at us. Women engineers stay in the field when their employers invest in them and are committed to inclusive and supportive workplaces and cultures. Women engineers are key to building organizational innovation capacity and effective succession planning. We know there's a gap. We have brilliant women. It's a really easy match there. So what we're seeing now is more and more institutions are creating programming like this, like WIE-CLE, like the Women in Engineering Career Launch Experience. What we're trying to do is weave in information about diversity, about prejudice, educate the student body so that they learn how to encounter, face, deal, and overcome, right? And thrive in environments and really fill this need for engineers that we have and bring this brilliant intelligence that we have from the women in Canada into the workforce. So it's not a perfect science, it's a work in progress. As far as we know, it's the only initiative like this in Canada. If anybody who is tuning in knows otherwise, please email me and let me know. We want to talk to you, but we haven't found anything else like it. But we know more and more of these initiatives are taking place. Like Engineers Canada has a 30 by 30, that's to license 30% of women engineers by 2030. So there's these initiatives that are moving along. We want to create the support that's needed. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about our program. This is how we're responding to these statistics. How can we respond to this? How can we support our women, thrive and in their workplaces? So for our program, it's quite simple. First, you have to hire a woman. So hire a woman from the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science Co-op program or Career Edge program. You would identify a mentor in the company, and then there's a match between the student and the mentor, right? So it's basically a mentorship program. There's a training that we offer to the mentors in a guidebook, and we invite the students to create a pathway of learning and personal and professional growth throughout their internship. It's a full-time 12 to 17 week internship. And the mentor is there to guide them, to root for them, to be on their side, just somebody to speak to debrief on activities that they're involved in. So it's really to show that they have the support that they need, if they do need it throughout their internship experience. So if you are interested in learning more about this as an employer and you'd like to get involved, please be in touch with us. You can Google us, or if you can jot this down, it's WIE-CLE at concordia.ca. Be in touch with me, WIE-CLE at concordia.ca. See, Anna's already on there in the chat box. All right. So without further ado, we have this program, we have these wonderful students, we have these wonderful mentors, we have these incredible employers. We would like to take some time to speak to our mentors, mentees, and employers. So first of all, the mentees and mentors that are in the room, and those of you that are online, can you go ahead and turn on your cameras? And those of you that are here, stand up. Yes, yes, yes. We're going to wait for those online too. All right. Enough more popping in. So we'd just like to give you a round of applause. Congratulations on being a part of this program. They're popping in here. Fantastique. Merci à tout le monde. Tout le monde. You can be seated. So, j'aimerais commencer par remercier tous nos partenaires employeurs. Très, très important. Vous êtes des avant-gardistes. Vous avez rendu cela possible, vous avez consacré du temps et des efforts supplémentaires et nous vous en remercions infiniment. So I'd just like to name the companies that we've been working with for this fall internship period. We have Bombardier, we have CAE, Kruglu, SIM International, Genesee in Wyoming, Genetech, Lockheed Martin, Pratt & Whitney Canada, and Vuwald Technology. So these are the companies that have been involved with us this past semester, and we hope to continue growing this cohort of employers and cohort of students that we have. Nous remercions aussi chaque mentor et mentorée pour tout le temps que vous avez consacré à apprendre l'un de l'autre, pour l'amour que vous avez donné un à l'autre et à l'attention que vous avez consacrée à cette expérience. So, félicitations à tous nos mentors et mentorées. So we would like to just invite really to hear from our mentors and our mentees and our employer partners about your experience, what this was like for you. This is really a celebration for you, an acknowledgement of what you've gone through and what you've done and the efforts that you've put into this. So why don't we start with, do we have Maddie here? I think Maddie might not be here yet. No. Oh, yay. Maddie, do you want to come to the front? So Maddie, Madeleine Breton, is a wonderful partner. She's our partner at Bombardier. Yeah, at Bombardier. And Bombardier has really created a very robust program. So hiring a lot of women and creating on-site initiatives and activities that the women get involved in. And Madeleine coordinates all of this. And we'd like to know from your perspective, from the experience of witnessing these women come in from start to end, what has your experience been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for first of all hosting this wrap-up event. I think it's very important to highlight the wonderful initiative that this is. So thank you, Lucia, for also inviting me to say a few words. I am an intern myself, so I started at the beginning of this semester in fall with Bombardier. I was kind of the lead on the Women in Engineering program within Bombardier. So I kind of saw and coordinated the different activities that the women did and matched them with their mentors. We have a process. I'm not sure how it works with the other partners, but we have a a whole matching process. So the mentors have their own little description, and then the mentees choose who they think they'll connect most with. So I'm kind of there to guide them through that process. And honestly, it's been so rewarding to see the progress that these young ladies, women, interns have done so far. Just at the beginning of the semester, we had a couple meetings. I could tell it was everyone was a little bit shy, not so comfortable necessarily with public speaking or even just networking. And throughout the whole event, it was very impressive to see them really come out of their shell. We have final projects also within our mentorship package, I could say, and one of the projects, well, actually two of the projects, was to do outreach to raise awareness for women in STEM. And this was in a high school and an elementary school. And the mentees did an amazing job. They created activities, and it was, they had to present a little bit about themselves too. And they were very nervous at first, and it was just amazing to see them grow into it and just do an amazing job. So overall, it's been a very enriching experience. As much for me on the sideline, I'm not in STEM, but just seeing them grow into the young engineers that they are. So thank you again for the event, and I'm happy that we get to highlight this amazing initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. And why don't we turn over to Skylar and to Clara. So we've got a mentor and mentee in the house.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? I want a little whoop whoop. That's fine. That's fine. So I just wanted to actually start with a little anecdote about Clara. On day one, she had never, so we're a software company. We make software for film and television management. Clara had never written front-end code, had never made a website herself, had just finished her first year of university. And so on day one, I was actually a little bit worried. I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. She's very smart. Within 1 week, our customers were actually using some stuff that she had written, some code that she had written in production, which is one, our company's very small, so things happen very quickly. But two, seeing Clara be able to come up in such a fast learning pace was really impressive. And now I give her tasks and she just goes on about them. We'll check in every now and then, and it's been really fascinating and thrilling to see the learning and the growth that she's had. And I really hope that WIE-CLE can send us future interns who have this type of impressive structure. So from a mentor point of view, I acted as both mentor and manager in this case, which is not the norm, but in a small company you have to wear many hats. So from a mentor point of view, we did a whole bunch of different activities to try and round out Clara's skills. So one thing that she did was sort of journal, take note of a bunch of goals that she wanted to work towards. And every week we would have a progress meeting where we would discuss those goals. And by the end, she had managed to meet all of her goals and was able to check off that I had made progress towards them. Some of them were on a professional level. Some of them were on a technical skill point of view. And I think that I'm very impressed with how well you were able to get to meeting these goals. But I think the most important one, and this is a really interesting topic for other mentors, is that you should use your network to connect mentees with as many people as you can. So I realized early on in my technical career that I was not the strongest software developer. I'm not the greatest, lead coder that exists. However, I have a really strong other skills. So one of those being my social skills and having a large network of people. So I was able to introduce Clara to female founders, to team leads working in engineering, to product managers who have come from sales all the way to being group product managers, to leaders in engineering, with a heavy emphasis obviously on women, but there was a large spectrum. I think maybe you end up meeting 8 or 10 different people throughout the 12 weeks that we've had so far. And I think that was the most gratifying part, was being able to show her that these other people have come from a similar place. Everyone was a student one time, and they've been able to ascend to, even being founders of their own companies that are going for funding rounds now. So I think that is the most important thing you can do. And I was told this when I was in university, when I was at Concordia as well, is to grow your network, to meet people, to talk to them, to ask questions, and to really learn from it. And I think that other mentors should really give that skill, help their mentees to get there. So thank you very much, Clara. I really wish that we could have you for another 4 months, but unfortunately you have this thing called school to go back to. So I would really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for all the kind words, first of all, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Like you mentioned, definitely one of my favorite parts of this opportunity was the ability to network with so many different amazing women in the tech industry. And like Skylar kind of touched already, it was people who were managing, who were developing every day, who were more of on a leadership role. And it was lovely to hear about all of their experiences and how honestly they all differed immensely, but they all brought to me such good lessons to learn. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And I would also like to thank you, Skylar, for just motivating me throughout the entire journey. He made sure that I was always on task. He made an effort to understand what I wanted to get out of this opportunity and to make sure that I was achieving that. You were very welcoming, and I think it made the integration into the company even easier. So yes, a big thank you for that. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, both of you. And we'll turn to Gabrielle Forget and Caroline Janelle, whichever one of you wants to go first, just onto our Zoom screen.
Go ahead, Gabrielle, you go first.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for the great opportunity to share my experience as a mentee. My name is Gabrielle. This was my first internship this fall, which I did at SIME as a power system intern. My mentor was Caroline, and I learned a lot from this experience on many subjects, theory, or even just like on my personal skills. We did a lot of activities together. Some of them was Caroline made me have meetings, one-on-one meetings with other women in engineering at the company. And I found that challenging because I have difficulties just like presenting in general, but it really helped me with that aspect and with my communication skills, just to ask questions and be prepared in advance so the conversations can go smoothly. And also I learned a lot from the women that I met. They were all from different fields, most of them not even in my team, and they had a lot to teach me, a lot of advices. Some of them were beginning their career, and they had a lot to tell me about school, since I'm still at school, and about their internships. Some of them were also leaders in their own teams or seniors in engineering, and they were telling me everything that they went through in their career and where they're at now. So that was a great learning opportunity. Caroline also gave me a lot of resources to read and listen to during my internship. Some of them were about technical work, about power engineering, and some of them were also to improve my interpersonal skills or just communication in general. And I'm very grateful for that because I think those are very important skills to have as engineers, and it helped me throughout my whole internship, and I'm sure it's going to help me for my future career. Yeah, so I'm very thankful for the opportunity that Concordia gave me with this program, and also for Caroline to have given me so many resources and to be so supportive through my whole internship.
Well, thanks, Gabrielle. That's really nice. So my name is Caroline. I work as a power systems engineer at Eaton, specifically for SIME. And this was my first experience as a mentor, actually, and it was great. Gabrielle started off on this huge project that we have. It's a $1.3 million project, very high stakes. She did a great job. We're really proud of her. And, one of the big difficulties that we have is to work remotely. And I think that she did a great job with that as well. I hope, Gabrielle, you had a pleasure meeting all of these women and our colleagues. And we do have a female colleague who's in a really high leadership position. So I hope you liked having your one-on-one with her. And on my side, I think it's really just rewarding to see a mentee start off on the right foot, having the right intel, being able to recognize what is a good work culture from what is a toxic work culture, and having all of the intel about how do you do your OEQ, how do you start off by going into the OEQ, and what's the best way to build a CV, and how do you do a good interview, etc. So thanks everyone for this great opportunity, and I hope Gabrielle, you had some fun. And if we had been colleagues, like cubicle colleagues, I'm sure we would have been great cubicle friends.
Thank you so much, Caroline and Gabrielle. Merci à tout le monde. So we also have Romy from Genetech. Is Romy online here?
Yes, I am.
So Romy is also one of our coordinators that's been helping supporting the program on the Genetech side. So if you have a few words to share.
Yeah, I'm just trying to open my camera, but for now, I think I'll just leave it like that. So nice to meet you all. My name is Romy. As Julia said, I am working in the internship program. We are super grateful to be able to participate in this program. For us, it was really a great experience. It's our second semester that we're doing this right now, and you can really see the growth of the mentee. We had the opportunity to also have 8 mentees and 8 mentors. So we did a lunch and learn a few weeks ago, and it was really great because all the mentors were able to meet and discuss and share the experience. So definitely for another semester, we're definitely going to do something with all the mentors, all the mentees, so that everyone can exchange and see how it goes. So we're super grateful to have this opportunity. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Romy. And if any of the other mentees and mentors have anything to share, please go ahead and put it in the chat box if you're online. Feel free to share anything that comes up for you. So thank you. And we're excited to shift momentum here and move into our next section with Julie Bellerose. I'm going to just introduce my colleague, Shireen Zananiri, who's a wonderful colleague and the director at the Institute for Cooperative Education and Experiential Learning, who is going to conduct the interview with Julie. So passing it over.
Thank you, Lucia. Welcome, everyone. Our program encourages women to pursue their ambitions and reach for their dreams. Should I say stars? C'est avec grand plaisir que on vous présente notre conférencière invitée cet après-midi, Julie Bellerose. Julie is the NASA DART Navigation Chief based out of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. Julie made history this past September when she led her team through a successful test that showed NASA could deflect an asteroid in the event one aiming on planet Earth. Wow, mission accomplished. Originaire de Saint-Julie, sur la rive sud de Montréal, she graduated with a bachelor's in mechanical engineer from McGill University, then went on to do both a master's and a PhD in aerospace engineering from the University of Michigan. She has supported NASA navigation of Cassini, Hayabusa 2, Rosetta, and OSIRIS-REx. I hope I pronounced them correctly, Julie. When we asked Julie to be part of this event, celebrating our women in engineering, she accepted immediately. And she let us know that this is a type of event that she loves to support and be part of. So it's a great lesson for our students. If you ask, you may get a yes. So without further ado, bienvenue Julie, bienvenue à Concordia, Montréal. And before we start the interview, I would like to show you a small video, to share with you a small video of the special moment that took place on September 27th in 2022.
NASA's first planetary defense operation has struck a space rock that's orbiting an asteroid millions of kilometers from Earth. The goal was to nudge the little moon into a new orbit. Scientists were testing whether it's possible to deflect an asteroid on collision course with our planet.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Awaiting visual confirmation.
A direct hit, millions of kilometers from Earth. The world's first ever planetary defense mission. A success that is far from a coincidence.
So like I said, wow. Julie, could you tell us how was this experience?
Hi, well, thank you first for the nice introduction, and very nice to speak with you, Sharon, today, and all of you today. It's a pleasure to be able to call in. Sorry, I couldn't be in person, but it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, that day, I mean, you saw the images for everybody who was in the mission control. We were glued on the screen at that point, and so seeing, you know, the asteroid so close, we had never seen before, and just seeing that the mission, basically it looked like it was going to work. So it was just fantastic. Yeah. So on the navigation side, I think I went through all the possible emotions that day, because we were first very proud of what we did, and so I had a team of 7 with me over there, and so we had been doing the navigation for the whole mission, and so the last day we were very proud because we basically had exceeded our requirement in our predicted performance. And so for us, it was, you know, a big win. We were supposed to, you know, we were doing the navigation from the ground and handing it off to an autopilot. And so basically we made it so that we were going to hit the big asteroids. You know, it was a double asteroids, right? And so we were going to hit it at 99% probability. And that's, you know, basically exactly what the autopilot was expecting. And so we saw at that moment at the handoff that it wasn't doing anything. And so we, you know, that's exactly what we wanted it to do, and basically just wait for the actual target. And then by that point, we were hoping that it would actually maneuver and go hit the target. So it was a bit of a, you know, leap of faith there. But yeah, and so, but also it was, you know, this whole last month was by far the busiest of the whole mission. And we, you know, for years in preparation for this mission, we were very much aware that the last month was going to be a very busy month. And we had, you know, developed our software and done all of the possible testing to prepare for that. But we, you know, there's always some surprises that arrive. And that's kind of the beauty of doing flight operations is there's always going to be a problem, and we're always going to have to resolve it real time. And that's kind of, you know, scary and exciting at the same time. But in this last month, we were operating the spacecraft in a different mode. We were taking images. We were seeing our target for the first time. So we were taking a lot of images, and the spacecraft was operating differently. And basically, we saw that there was a drift. So it's like you're driving your car, and there's a misalignment in your car, and it kind of always wants to go right, and you have to, put pressure to keep going left, otherwise you're going to get off the road. And so it's kind of what the spacecraft was doing, but the difference is we could not always, turn left to stay on course. So we had specific moment where we were doing a corrections to get back on course. But then, in the end, in the last few weeks, there was a lot of discussion with the spacecraft team. Can we resolve this problem that we're seeing? And it was a lot of pressure to have them understand what was the problem that we were seeing, and have them do the analysis to see how they could correct it, if they could correct that. At the same time, I was dealing with my senior management at JPL that was telling me, well, we think you should do this. And so basically like overcorrect or undercorrect, what do you do? And so finally, I had to tell them, well, no, I don't think we can do that. And we feel confident with the spacecraft that we can have a solution implemented on time, and it's going to be a better outcome than, overcorrecting and maybe lose a spacecraft and having to do a big correction in the end. So there was a lot of discussion. I lost many hours of sleep in that last month. And then finally, the everything got settled about a week before the impact. And so we had 2 maneuvers left at that point. And so we used them to really kind of aim at the asteroid, and it worked out very well in the end. And so it was this, this relief as we were watching those last images in the end, kind of knowing that, all that had happened, we were in a good place, and then we were seeing, that we were actually going to hit the target and make that possible. So it was a good day, but it was at the end of a very stressful month.
So as my colleague mentioned at the top of the event, today is December 6th, so the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Does this day touch you in some special way? And does the Polytechnique massacre impact you in some personal way?
It did, and not because I knew any of the unfortunate women or their family that were involved, but at the time I was just about 9 years old, and then I remember this event happened, and I remember thinking that I was not going to go into engineering. It was too dangerous of a job. And at the time I wanted to do all possible jobs in the world. And so I was watching a movie and I wanted to do whatever the main character was doing in a movie. And so, but I was convinced that engineering was not for me. And so I was, and I kind of stayed with that for a few years. And I remember I was in my teens, and I think I was lucky. I had a father that, thought I could do just about everything in the world. But we were watching. By that point, I had started being interested in car racing. So I've kind of, liked things that move fast. That's like the theme of my career. And I remember we were watching a Formula One race on a Sunday, and he found this article on a woman from Quebec who had become the aeronautical lead aeronautical engineer doing the design of the wings on the car for the Ferrari team. And I thought, oh my God, that's so great. Maybe I can do that too. And then he said, well, she did mechanical engineering. So I was like, okay, well, I'll think about it. And then, later on, then I started developing an interest in space and then kind of figure out a little more, what I wanted to do in life. And I liked math and physics and science. And so I kind of, long story short, ended up going to mechanical engineering and kind of, walked away from those and that initial impression of engineering. But it's for me, it's kind of a this day is like a reminder to not let your ghost, I guess, dictate your actions, or I try to remind myself that I don't want anything in my past to define me as I try to go forward in the things that I want to do. So I that's how it speaks to me. And it's easier said than done, for sure. But I try to apply that as I go forward.
Thank you. Did you ever feel that your gender became an issue for you throughout your career? And if you faced hurdles, how did you overcome them? And how did you get through them?
It's a tough question. So I think early on I adopted a I guess probably like an optimistic point of view, and so I kind of enjoyed being among the 25% female in mechanical engineering, and then in aerospace engineering it became 10%, and kind of I found that exciting to be one of the few that could do that. But there was I definitely have anecdotes on different things that happened. And for example, I remember before I started engineering, I wanted to know more about the different fields of engineering. And so I went to meet with this one professor, and I, asked, well, can you tell me about, the different fields? What do people do? And I was, well, fairly young, but I was already kind of starting to look at which engineering I wanted to get into, to kind of go to the aerospace field later on. And the professor asked me, well, do you want to have kids? And so I was like, well, what does it have to do with my question? And he said, well, if you want to have kids, it doesn't really matter what kind of engineering you get into. And so I was like, whoa, well, well, that's I don't think I'm gonna, come and get feedback from you on anything. and I just left. I kind of put that in the kind of dumb category, and that was kind of unfortunate. But I continued and went into engineering and really enjoyed the opportunities. But there's other experience that happened later on. I remember my first contract after I finished. So I went to do a postdoc in Japan after I finished my PhD, and that was difficult by itself. Maybe more because I was leaving home and being on my own. So I tried to, find support. I think it's a good thing. But then after that, I remember getting my first job in California, and I became the point of contact right away on this contract, because the three other guys didn't want to do it, and so I was one woman and three guys, and I saw the difference in salaries, and I was like. And so I was like, well, what do I want to do with this information? And so I decided that, I spoke with the official, if you want, and kind of discuss, well, understanding that I'm starting, but maybe we can, what can we do about this? And so they kind of, saw the issue, and we kind of worked out a solution over time. And so when I started at JPL, I ended up getting a pay cut from where I was before, and I thought, well, are we having the same issue here? and so and so I had a conversation about that then, kind of making sure that I was comfortable, and so I think some of the way that I kind of went through those hurdles is speaking up about some of the issues that I was speaking or that I was seeing. But there's other situations that kind of came up that, were with, good and bad with both female and male coworkers. And I remember this one situation where I had started looking at this one woman colleague as a bit of a role model. And so I went to her and I had a problem that I wanted to work to get through, and seems like she could help me. And so I remember asking the side questions on this, coordinate frame definition, and then she said, "Wow, I don't know how you made it to where you are by asking these questions. You should be ashamed of yourself." I was like, "Whoa, that's a bit harsh." And so I remember, I tried to kind of lighten the mood on the moment, and I said, "Well, I'll definitely remember this to the end of my life now." And she kind of took a step back and says, "Yes, okay, that was maybe a little harsh." And so, I think it's, definitely good to speak up. And I still, talk to this person, not every day, but fairly often. And I ended up in a reverse situation actually last month, where I was helping her in handling a different, some different part of a software for supporting the Artemis launch that happened last month. And so, things will kind of reverse, and I think the important thing is, you do want to find your level of comfort and speak up about those things. But I think it's important to stay rational. But part of staying rational may also mean you can use some of the reporting tools that's implemented in every organization and report the abuse, and that's important. I had another situation with a female coworker where we were in a meeting, and she was telling a story telling about a trip that she took, as part of a friendly kind of launch talk, basically. And I remember she was asked some pretty tough personal questions from one of the male coworker. And it was this kind of very uncomfortable situation. And we all left. I think we all didn't really want to make too much more noise. But then I spoke to her after that, and I was kind of at a higher level than her. So I kind of felt like I should make sure that she was okay. And so I reached out to her and I said, "Well, are you okay? This just happened. Are you okay?" And she said she was wondering what she needed to do. She wasn't sure how to handle that situation. And so we kind of worked out an avenue for her that ended up, speaking to supervisors and making sure that this was it was understood that it was not to be repeated, basically. And so, there's things like that. I think it's important to speak out, and there's, I'm sure other times where I think a lot of us will have probably a very positive situation, and it's important to make sure that we take advantage of that. And so, and I'll always remember this one situation where I was working with a medical worker here who's 80 years old, and he's been at JPL for more than 55 years. I think we celebrated his 55 years of career. Wow. He's one of the pillar that will never retire. And so I was working on this launch. I think it was a year after I started at JPL, and so I was put in a leading position for this small task, working with him, who had 55 years of experience. And so, he had supported about 250 launches, space launches. And so, so I said, "Well, how do you want to do this?" And this particular task, and he said, "Well, this is a task we have to do. There's many options. I think, you should decide how you want to do this." he was, very, very genuine and honest. And so I was, well, you're the guru here. So I feel like, I need to kind of look up to you. And so he said, well, we can, like look at these different options and, you can decide what you want to implement and we'll just adopt that procedure and it's perfectly fine. And so it was a great, opportunity to kind of learn from someone who had a lot more experience, but then kind of assert my confidence in leading this task. And so I'm sure, these will happen in everyone's career, and make sure that that you kind of enjoy that, that opportunity. So yeah, so that's kind of, a few samples of my experience dealing with, not only genders, but I guess hierarchy also in the workplace that can be sometimes kind of impressive or yeah, but yeah, I think speaking up and make sure that, I guess for me, finding my comfort level and speaking up about, and sometimes, you might have an overly positive experience. And so I'm sure, everyone might meet people who are kind of the reverse of what we consider gender bias and are kind of overly positive about women in the workplace. And then you end up with too many things you have to take care of. And so you have to find your comfort level in that situation too. It's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes to all the job opportunities.
So is there a message that you'd like to leave to our young women in engineering today?
Well, I think definitely, I think it's important to be confident in it. Like I think we're talking with a lot of young women today who are just completing a mentorship program. So congratulations to everyone involved. And I think, you be sure that you're confident, you've worked hard, you've had a few years of baggage with you, and I think you really have all the reasons to be confident. And if you're not that confident, like reflect on it and make sure you find your confidence. You coming out in the world with a lot of tools. I think at the same time, I think it's important to remember that this is not the end, right? You will be. We'll continue to learn during our career, and so this is not it in the sense. And so I think it's important to be involved where you are, what you're doing, and where you're going, and make sure that you ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. One of the lessons learned that I got from my experience working with this one woman colleague was that maybe I overlooked something that I shouldn't have, but after getting the answer, then I knew. So it's never too late to ask a question, even if you're uncomfortable. And yeah, it's important to participate in mentorship. I think from my experience, I think the first real mentorship that I had was when I started at JPL, and I wished that I had that opportunity before. And so make sure that you take full advantage of that. And then if you're not in a mentorship, there's role models everywhere. And so I think it's important to keep our eyes open and look at who's around us and what we want to become and what we don't want to become. And so right now my role model is we have a new JPL director who's a woman. She's the first woman in the history of JPL, and she's just seems like she's punching through a wall. And I've heard feedback where we just had a big review of a mission that launch got canceled, and there was when that happened, there's usually a big review, and there's all those CEOs, past CEOs of different companies that get together, senior people from NASA that review everything that happened and make recommendation. And this and I heard a feedback from this this chair of the review board that went to our JPL director office and spent 2 hours talking with her, and came out and says, well, I met my match. And so I was like, well, I think maybe I should try to, be sure that if somebody comes to my office, then can try to make sure that they're gonna leave with a positive impression like that. So that's now my role model, and I think that's important to keep in mind that that's there's that everywhere, and we should take advantage of it. Keeps our eyes open for that, and just there's a lot of opportunities, and make sure that we have our mind open for seeing those opportunities and continue going forward.
That's great. Do I have time for one more question? I do. Great. So what's next for you?
So I'm wrapping up a little bit of the DART work, but I got on actually 2 other missions. One that's should be launching next fall. It's called Lunar Trailblazer. It's a small satellite that's launching to go orbit the moon, and so it's one of the first satellite before we sent the human missions, the astronauts back to the moon. We want to basically create a map of where's the possible water resources or ice. I mean, there's no liquid water on the moon, but there's ices at water ice at different location, and there's some oxygen and hydrogen kind of link that we can map. And so that small spacecraft will do that, go to the moon next year and orbit that. So I'm the lead navigation for that. And then there's the next mission that's for a few more years down the line. It's called DROID, and this is for we want to send this spacecraft to this particular asteroid. So back to planetary defense type work, which I'm very happy about. But this one asteroid is called Apophis, will be basically passing by Earth very close at about 30,000 kilometers, I think. And so that's, at about the geosatellite orbit that we have, so within the moon. And so we want to send a spacecraft to it so that we can observe it as the asteroid fly by Earth. And so we can see how, material on the surface move because of the gravity pull, and kind of understand better the making of small bodies in our solar system, and kind of add to what the DART mission saw in kind of impacting an asteroid and moving it, and seeing how the asteroid as a whole kind of react to an impact. So we kind of want to understand what the internal structure of small bodies, so we can kind of model all that better in the future. So that's what's next for me.
Great. So time for questions from first, if we have questions here in the room before we go online.
Julie, can we keep you for a little more?
Julie, can you stay on for a few moments more for questions?
Yeah, I can stay on for a few minutes. Sorry, I have a meeting starting in a few minutes, but I can send a quick email that I'm going to be a little late.
Yeah, if I recall, you're chairing the meeting.
Yeah. So it won't end without me.
Okay. So do we take from online?
Sure. Yeah. Can you read the one that's on there, or do you want me to read it out, Shireen?
Let's see.
Let's go to Sonia Power. I have a question from myself and my mentees from Lockheed Martin. In your experience, did you find that you were receiving more pressure than your male colleagues to take on managerial organizational tasks instead of technical engineering tasks? And if so, how did you push back on that pressure?
Well, good question. No, I can't really say that I did, and well, maybe a little bit, but I've very much enjoyed the technical work, and so in my position right now as NAF chief, it's still very technical, although there's a lot more kind of management task than just being an analyst, which I enjoy still. I mean, there's part of it that I don't like, but there's a good part of it that were actually very nice. But yeah, there's one time that I was kind of talked to kind of go up in management, and I didn't really think that was for me, and I just discussed about that with my supervisor, and just mentioned what I wanted to stay in and do, and it it could be that later maybe I take on that more management position, but I don't think I felt some pressure though, or that I had more pressure than other of my male colleagues. I think I took that more as a compliment, maybe, that I had management skills, and so it was it had been noticed, I guess, somewhere in the organizations, and I was receiving this opportunity, but yeah, I kind of spoke out about what I wanted to do more in my careers, or what I wanted to focus on at the moment, and it was a serious discussion, but it was I kind of felt good after that I had spoken about that.
I think that's very much the theme that we're hearing from a lot of what you're sharing back, right? Is speaking up.
Communication is definitely important, and I've discovered that in this position with DART, also partially because the mission, the whole mission was done at another lab on the East Coast, the Applied Physics Lab, and so JPL was contracted out as for navigation only, and so I was basically the only representative of JPL, and so there was a lot of communication with the spacecraft team, and it was always basically at a distance and through COVID, so you kind of develop efficient ways of speaking, and kind of realized that I really needed to make sure that I could explain kind of what I was working on, and that's important, not overlooking anything that you're dealing with. I think I've learned that definitely a few years ago.
It's an ongoing journey of learning communication, that's for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Julie, it's been such a pleasure to have you here today. We don't want to keep you from your important work. I'm sure we'd keep you here for lots longer, but we'll set you free. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again to everyone, and I wish you the best in your upcoming milestones. So if you are interested into space, just shoot me an email, or
if there's any other questions, then just let us know, and Julie's been really great, so if there's anything you'd like feedback on or questions to ask, you can send it through me. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Au revoir. So I'd like to invite Dr. Murad Dibabi, Dean of the Gina Cody School of Engineering, Professor and Tier 1 Concordia Research Chair, Concordia Institute for Information Systems Engineering, to send us off with a few closing words. Dean Dibabi.
Thank you so much.
Bonsoir tout le monde. C'est un plaisir pour moi d'être ici aujourd'hui. And I'd like to thank Shirin for the opportunity to be here and to be the one who closed the event. So I'll make it short because I don't want to stand a lot for a long time between you and the networking event. So I'd like to start by thanking Julie Bellerose for taking the time to attend this important event. I was really fascinated by listening to her, and I wish my daughter was here to listen to what she's doing. It's inspiring. It's very important to have people like Julie. They are a source of inspiration to any student, any women, but also any student in engineering and computer science. Not only she has a deep understanding of engineering as a field, but in addition, I am sure that she fascinates by the field she is in. She fascinates also by her achievements, and it's a brilliant idea to have her in this event. So today is a very important day as we remember the 14 women who lost their lives on December 6, 1989. So we should never forget that, and we should commit to taking active steps towards making a better and safer and more accessible future for women in engineering and computer science. At the Gina Cody School, we take the promotion of women in engineering very seriously. We put a lot of active steps and initiatives to promote women in engineering, to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we do it in everything that we do, from recruitment, enrollment, admission, retention. We look at it as well in teaching, in hiring faculty members, professors, in research, in everything that we do. We know that we have a lot to do. You know, nowadays we are at 24% of our student undergrad population are women. This is not enough, and we commit to make this better. When we look at the graduate level, we are at 30%, close to 30%, exactly 29. We'd like to enhance that moving forward. And when we look at the faculty complement, how many professors are women, we are around in the vicinity of 20%. So we have a lot to do. And that's why we did put in place a lot of initiatives. So we created a lot of entrance awards for women. We put whatever resource we can manage to attract women to engineering. We create many scholarships with support that we have been receiving from donors. We did lobby the government, and we have been successful to a very large extent. You have seen the Quebec Perspective Scholarships. That was work that we started back in 2017-18, and I think it did give an outstanding result. And I see Tanya, she the senior advisor to the Dean on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. She's doing an outstanding job, and we are working with her to have a strong and positive impact on attracting women to engineering and computer science as students, as faculty members, as staff, and so on. So I am very proud of the weekly program, very, very proud of this program. When I look at the numbers, they are really outstanding. More than 167, I believe, students that went through the program successfully. Maybe something in the vicinity of 20 plus corporations that have been supporting us. Wonderful support from the Co-op Institute. Thank you so much, Shirin, you and your team. You are doing an outstanding job in this program. And I'd like also to thank everybody who contributed to the success of this program, the mentees, the students, the mentors, the subject matter experts, the Co-op Institute, and also the companies that are supporting us. I don't want to take much more time. It's a privilege for me to be here today. And I just want to reiterate the message that this is something that we care about, and we will do what it takes, and we will work actively to for the success and the promotion of women in engineering and computer science. Thank you.
Thank you.